औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आपका मेज़बान आरिफ जहांगीर एक दफ़ा फिर प्रोग्राम कम्युनिटी टॉक के साथ नाज़रीन हाजिर है। नाज़रीन, आपको पता है कि हमारी कोशिश होती है कि हर हफ्ते कोई कुछ ऐसे मौज़ूआत आपके सामने लेकर आएँ जो यकीनन जो है वो आपके लिए बहुत अहमियत के हामिल हो, सोसाइटी के लिए अहमियत के हामिल हो। दुनिया में मुख्तलिफ वाक़यात होते हैं, उस हवाले से हम प्रोग्राम लेकर आते हैं। इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स का नौजवानों के हवाले से प्रोग्राम लेकर आते हैं, मजहबी हवाले से भी हम प्रोग्राम करते हैं कम्युनिटी टॉक के अंदर। आज का जो मेरा प्रोग्राम है वो उसके अंदर दो बड़ी अहम गुफ्तगू हमने रखी है। पहली गुफ्तगू जो है वो जनाब मैंने हामिद ज़ीशान हामिद साहब के साथ रखी है, जो कि मिल्टन CN रेल का एक इशू चल रहा है काफ़ी दिनों से मिल्टन के अंदर। उस हवाले से जो है वो मैंने गुफ्तगू को रखी है और बहुत सारे लोग जो है चाहते हैं कि उसकी दिलचस्पी उसके हवाले से गुफ्तगू करें। दूसरी गुफ्तगू जो है वो डॉक्टर राना के साथ है। डॉक्टर राना जो है वो सेंट्रल पार्टी ऑफ कनाडा के लीडर हैं और अभी न्यूली फॉर्म पार्टी है, उसने पिछले फेडरल इलेक्शन में भी हिस्सा लिया है। तो डॉक्टर राना से हम पूछेंगे जनाब कि वो किन किन हवालों से जो है ना उनकी पार्टी का काम कर रही है। स्पेशली बिल 21 के हवाले से हम पूछेंगे कि उनकी पार्टी का क्या मौक़िफ़ है, वो इस हवाले से जो है वो क्या जद्दोजहद कर रही है और क्या करना चाहती है फ्यूचर के अंदर। तो आइए नाज़रीन, हम अपने पहले मेहमान से as I mentioned you that our first guest is Brother Zeeshan Hamid. He is a regional council of Ward 4 Milton, and I welcome him to Community Talk once again. He was once a very long time. He was one of my program guests. I invited him on the transportation issue. I still remember that. And but now the CN Rail Intermodal Project issue is very hot and everybody in the Milton is talking about. I saw the local news is full of there, and councillors are also talking about. Political leader in the Milton, they are also giving their statements about this CN rail. That's why I bring Zeeshan Hamid. He is the right person to whom we have to talk and understand that what is this project is and why the people of Milton is against about it. So first, Zeeshan, tell me what is this project is.
Yeah, so some people might be familiar with the intermodal in Brampton. What happens is that the trains bring all the goods in the containers and then they get transferred onto trucks, and then trucks go around distributing them. So essentially, an intermodal is a truck to train transfer station. So you have truck traffic going all day. Typically, they run 24/7. So generally, the operation happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They generate a lot of traffic, they generate a lot of noise, they generate a lot of pollution.
But on the other hand, Zeeshan, you know that if I am a business person and belong to a business community, right? So my take on this one is that, oh, this project brings a lot of businesses, right? A lot of new businesses, people get the job, and the Milton really come up in a model city where the business is growing. The people on the other side definitely can give you this. So why you think is not this other thing is not important, but the environmental health conditions, high transportation, those things are important.
No, other things that business is very important. Intermodals are very, very important for a modern economy. Without intermodals, our modern economy cannot function very efficiently. But the location matters. So it's a heavy industrial project, and heavy industrial projects typically belong in heavy industrial areas, and that's why we zone areas differently. And that's the reason why you don't see steel mills in residential areas, you don't see nuclear power plants in residential areas. You also don't see intermodals in residential areas. So if you look at the CP intermodal in Milton, it's an industrial area. If you look at the CN intermodal in Brampton, it's also an industrial area. We have no problem with CN doing this in industrial area. The problem is that CN has decided to put this in the middle of the community, away from all the highways, surrounded by 35,000 people living there.
So issue is actually the location of that is, and if it is other place of the Milton, there is no issue from the community wise. If it's some outer skirts of the Milton, if it is near to the highway 401 or 401 or near to the, I don't know, near to the Britannia, because the end is near Britannia, where the Milton is ending and Oakville is starting. So there is no issue, but the community is actually raising their voice because it is inside the residential area. That's the main reason. Yes.
That's right. That's right. Near the highway, we would lobby CN to do it, right? like I mentioned, CP Intermodal has been in Milton for many, many years. No one knows about it. No one talks about it. It just does its business because it's in a suitable area that's designed for industrial heavy traffic. Where CN wants to go now is not designed for that kind of traffic. It's not. It's designed for light employment so people can walk to work. It's not designed for heavy industrial machinery.
Okay. So tell me one thing. There's definitely when I saw that CN really is moving. There is a track is there, right? Definitely, they don't want to extend the track. They just want to use the same track, and near that track, they want to build this intermodal, right? That's one of the reasons you think that that's why they choose this location where they want to build the intermodal.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speculate on why CN chose this location,
Mhm,
but CN track goes all across Canada. It cuts through GTA. It goes through many, many, many industrial areas that are more suitable for this
mhm.
project. But I wasn't part of CN's discussion when they were choosing the land, so I can't speculate on why they chose this land over an alternative.
So there was an environmental assessment was definitely done on this project. What was the result of that assessment?
So there was a federal environmental assessment done, not the provincial and municipal.
Mhm,
The federal environmental assessment that was done, they found that there were health impacts on human health that could not be mitigated.
mhm,
And in fact, this is the only time in the history of Canada
mhm.
where an environmental panel has found that there are human health impacts that cannot be mitigated, but the federal government has gone on to approve the project anyway. That has never happened in the entire history of Canada.
So you have Adam is there from the Liberal Party of Canada, and he's the second time he win the election as well, and they have the federal government as well. So what's why your councillors and everybody team up with Adam and try to stop this issue if you want to relocate the position of the intermodal track? So there's some movement is going on, or any action is taken by the consular side and the public side, teaming up with the MP Adam as well.
Yeah, we're working with our MP. We're working with all Halton MPs, not just Adam, but Halton region has four and a half really
Yeah.
MPs. So working with all of them. There are really three venues where we're fighting it. The first is Ontario's Superior Court of Justice,
Hmm.
because we have an application in front of the court to enforce municipal and provincial laws.
Hmm.
We have a federal judicial review to
Hmm.
overturn the federal cabinet approval
Hmm.
because, as far as we know, the document that went to the cabinet for approval did not contain details of unmitigable human health impact.
Hmm.
And the third is we're appealing to Canadian Transportation Agency to overturn the approval. So there are three different venues that we're addressing this in.
So Zeeshan, tell me that because any such project which is going in the approval process, definitely the local federal MPs are involved. Definitely, you say that there are 3 or 4 MPs are in the whole region, right? That and definitely they know about these things. So they are the part of the approval process or not? Those MPs are.
The approval came through the cabinet. Adam's not in the cabinet. Anita and the MP Anita and Karina Gould, they're from Halton. They are in the cabinet.
Mhm,
Uh, but like I mentioned, as far as we can tell, the document that went to the cabinet for approval did not contain the right information. So it did not contain the information about the finding of
mhm,
the panel.
mhm,
And so, in absence of that information, I can understand why the cabinet would go ahead and approve it. Like I mentioned before, in the entire history of this country, there's never been an instance, not once, where a project was granted approval despite the fact that there were human health impacts that cannot be mitigated. And no matter what you do, those health impacts will happen.
mhm.
That approval has never happened. And this time as well, one could argue that didn't happen because the cabinet did not have that information when they gave the approval.
Okay. So other important factor is that you know that there's always a Canadian Transport Authority, right? Coming up in the face as well when they are talking about such a projects, right? So what is their standing on that? But they already approved that this project as well.
Yeah, so in a project of this magnitude, there are a lot of moving pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
there's a piece of this project is very important.
Hmm.
Intermodals are very important, so
Very
no one's
important, yes.
arguing with that.
Yeah.
We all support it. The location then becomes important as well. And the other factor, specifically with CN, is that
Mm.
there are 65 different provincial and municipal laws and bylaws that any other business and any other developer, any other resident would have to comply with.
Mhm.
And the fact that CN is not complying with them, CN is
Mhm.
not going through that approval process that any of their competitors would have to, that alone is a problem. And we don't really have a system where a private corporation or even a private citizen can decide which laws apply on them and which laws don't, because laws must apply equally. That's the basic principle of a legal society. And the fact that CN is basically waving its hand and say they don't care about these 65 different laws, that's a problem. And that's something that courts will have to address. And that's why we're before the court to resolve this issue.
So did what's the on the city levels, definitely on the Halton levels, there are many counselors and are there. What they are doing to stop and relocate this intermodal project. So there is any courts, you as you mentioned that in the case in the courts. So at what stage they are in the court? Either you think that the courts is taking the decision in the favor of the community or in the favor of the climate, in the favor of the environment assessment, or you think that the court and the other CN Rail have a very strong point and they will move on in this project very soon.
Yeah, I mean, courts will make obviously a legal decision, right? So
Yeah.
courts are not making a political decision;
Hmm.
they're making a legal decision. And I mentioned three venues: Ontario Superior Court of Justice, the Federal Judicial Review in front of the Federal Court, and then the third is political in front of Clean Transportation Agency. Uh, any of the three have the power to stop the project.
Hmm.
The two court cases I talked about, we expect the courts to address them this year in 2022.
Okay.
And so it's not something that we expect to be dragged on for a while. We think that we have a legal standing. I mean, that's part of the reason why we think that CN is trying to move so fast, because we think that we actually have a good legal case.
Mhm. So the CN is already started the project, or they stopped the project is stopped actually and waiting for the decision of the courts and the other proceeding. That's the
Yeah, so
question.
I mean, a little bit of history would be useful, right? When CN
Yeah.
first talked about the project, they announced that they were going to start construction in 2015,
Okay.
and Intermodal would be running in 2016.
Okay.
It's been, it's 2022 now, and nothing's
Yeah.
been done yet. That's because, at every step we have held CN accountable.
Yeah.
So on its own, CN would just go and start construction. CN is not going to voluntarily wait for
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
Right now, where we are is that we're asking a court. If CN starts something,
Mhm.
then we'll ask a court to do an injunction to stop the project until
Mhm.
a decision is made.
Okay.
And as far as we know, CN, as far as I know, as of right now, CN hasn't really started anything yet. But if they were to start, then we would go seek
To the
an
process. Yeah.
injunction from the court. Yeah.
So
But
I.
we, at the Halton region, the municipalities of Milton, Oakville, Halton Hills, and
Mhm.
Burlington, and region of Halton, the
Mhm.
5 different municipalities plus the province of Ontario, all of us are doing this together, and
Mhm.
we're on the same page that we are going to follow the due process
Mhm.
and the legal process. And we hope the CN would do the same on their own, but we don't expect them to. And something that courts will enforce.
Okay. So I see that all the political forces are on and the communities are on one side and CN Railway and the peoples who are behind this project, they are on one side. It looks like a conflict is a conflict is there. So due to this conflict, do you not think that not a very good gesture go to the society that on the one side CN Railway say that we want to bring the business to these communities and helping out these communities. On the other side, this old project, people are stopping again and again. That's why we are not able to complete. And we can see now this after COVID-19, the transportation is a very major issue nowadays. You know that their virtual businesses are growing and these transportations are very important as well. So where you want to see that, do you not want as a regional counselor yourself that this issue should be resolved as soon as possible and the project will be either relocate or either start somewhere.
Yeah, but that's really up to CN, right? So we can't force a private company to do something somewhere else. What we can do is we can if an application comes forward, we can evaluate that application on its merit, and we can say whether it's suitable at this location or not. And then it will be up to CN to figure out what the next step should be. We're certainly willing to help. We have offered that help multiple times to find a viable alternate location where this project makes a lot more sense. Whether it's in Milton, it's somewhere else in Halton, it's somewhere else in the community.
So what they reply on that?
We're game.
So Zeeshan, what's their reply on that?
See, from CN's perspective, CN's point is that CN does not have to comply with municipal or provincial oversight.
Okay.
So CN is saying that none of the provincial laws apply on them. And because that's CN's argument, which is, in my opinion, the baseless argument, but because that's CN's argument, they actually don't have to respond because they have to say, well, I don't really care. You don't exist as far as we're concerned. And that's a problem. We can't really have a massive business doing whatever they want in the community if there's no oversight. Like I mentioned, there's 65 different laws and bylaws that we've identified that CN is refusing to comply with. And that's a non-starter right there.
So this is very interesting because that CN thinking that there's no laws is applying on them, but I think they are not moving ahead due to the court case. Only the reason which is I can see that there is a court case in the court which is pending, and that's the hearing starting in 2022. That's the only reason they've not started this project, unless they are thinking that none of the other authority, they need really the approval from them. Am I right on that?
Yeah, courts will have to decide that, and I think I'm confident that courts will decide in our favor that not all of the project, not every single aspect of the project is under strictly federal jurisdiction. There are aspects of the project, I believe, that are strictly under federal jurisdiction, where provincial government or municipal governments don't regulate those areas. But there are other aspects that are under provincial and municipal jurisdiction, and that's something the courts will have to decide. I do want to talk about the economic growth part. CN's own prediction, by the way, is that the project will produce 130 jobs. CN owns 1,100 acres. Even a very low density, sprawled warehouse type development would produce at least 6,000 to 7,000 jobs in this area. So if CN were to go in this area, they're going to be producing 6,000 to 7,000 fewer permanent jobs than any other option. So it's not even good from an economic development point of view.
Okay. So thank you, Zeeshan, for giving us the insight about this rail intermodal project, because the people want to people ask me a few times here and there. I don't have much information as well myself. So before this program, I studied myself first, and I say that the right person to whom I want to talk about this project is Zeeshan. He have a lot of information, historical data about this project as well. Thank you once again for giving us the time for this important.
Anytime. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. तो नाज़रीन, ये थे ज़ीशान हामिद साहब। ज़ीशान हामिद साहब जो है वार्ड 4 के रीजनल कॉन्फ्रेंस है, इससे पहले वो काउंसलर भी रह चुके हैं मिल्टन के, और जनाब इम्पॉर्टेंट इश्यूज़ के ऊपर, मिल्टन के इम्पॉर्टेंट इश्यूज़ के ऊपर वो हमेशा ही जो है ना वो फोर फ्रंट पर रहते हैं। इससे पहले एक ब्रिज का इशू था जो डेरी के ऊपर था, उनकी काविशों से और उनकी बड़ी मेहनत थी उसके अंदर, और उन्होंने उस प्रोजेक्ट को कंप्लीट आगे बढ़ाया, और उसके नतीजे में कम्युनिटी ने उनको पहली दफ़ा काउंसलर भी बनाया था उस वक्त। और उसके अलावा भी वो कम्युनिटी के हवाले से जो इम्पॉर्टेंट मैटर्स होते हैं उसके हवाले से वो काफ़ी काम करते हैं। ज़बरदस्त लीडरशिप है मिल्टन की, एंड आई होप हिम दैट ही विल बी शो resilience and he will be in our parliament as well, next level. Let's see when he want to join the parliament, provincial or the federal parliament, because he is one of the great leader of the movement. So my other guest is, we invited him before as well. He is the leader of the Centrist Party of Canada, Dr. Q Rana. Thank you, Dr. Q Rana, for joining Community Talk today to discuss a very important topic and very important discussion and very important matter that's going on into the country. And I want to really want to listen from you that what your party is doing about that important matter, because that's something. Great discrimination is going on with the immigrants, especially, or the people of other faith in one of the province, and that's our major topic today. I want to listen from your party point of view in a statement. But before going to that one, Q Rana, I know that the Centrist Party of Canada is very newly formed organization and a political party. But how many seats you guys run on the federal election last time?
We had about 4 candidates.
Okay.
We had more candidates in the beginning, more people interested to run, but then people were traveling. The election was quite it was a sudden it was called just
Yeah,
very
it was only 30
suddenly,
days,
and
I think, they given.
so eventually we had 4 people who ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all from to Ontario, or there are other provinces also your members are running the election?
We had 1 candidate from Alberta and 3 from Toronto.
Okay, so 3 from the GTA area and 1 from the
Right.
Alberta. So it's not bad that 4 people are come forward in the first election and give your party try to get some votes from the public and get some public opinion about your party, and that's not a very good. That's a very good start, and I hope that in the future election your party will do better than that one, and many people are trying to take some tickets from your party as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. So, Dr. Rana, you heard about the Bill 21, right? And that's and you know that especially in the Franco-Canadian province, which is Quebec, and we know that Quebec have a very special status as well in our confederation fabric as well, right? So, and in the past there are a lot of separation movement is also there. Then it was die slowly, but still there are forces are there. But this is another new area where in the province that the symbol, this religious symbol, they are against the religious symbol of all the religion, not particularly about the Muslims, but about the Sikh, about the Jews, about the Christians themselves, or any religious symbol. So first of all, I want to know that how you see the action of Quebec in Bill 21.
The history of these issues in Quebec is very long. It really starts from decades. So Quebec recently had taken to the extreme these issues. So I do believe that these issues have been created by politicians always. Because politicians they have to divide people, they have to attract some people, they have to create issues before election. If there is no issue, then they have to come up with some issue, right? So what has happened in especially with Bill 21, so what they did, the CAQ party, which is the party in government now, so they ran their campaign in 2018 based on this issue. They made this issue an issue of campaign. They try to do fear mongering with the people, with people who are francophone, which is the majority of Quebec. So they promote this rhetoric that our language will die, these people will come, and our culture will diminish from Quebec. So we got to do something. We got to stop these people. So then this party wins the election. They come in power on June 16, 2018. 2019. They bring this bill. Bill 21. So Bill 21 is prohibiting any kind of symbols, which could be like it could be a turban or a kippah or a headscarf to wear at work. So this bill passes by 3575, CAQ party, and I think Parti Quebec were in support, and there were a few smaller parties which were opposed. So that becomes a Quebec secularism law.
So first of all, I would tell you that because number one thing is that this bill is totally contradict with the Charter of Rights of federal, our status, right? Where we have the Charter of Right in the federal, and we have in the Quebec this Bill 21. They are conflict to each other. So why the federal government not intervene to stop this bill?
That's a very, that's very interesting thing to let's dive into this. Why federal politicians, why they speak on some issues and why they don't speak on other issues. The federal politician, including all parties. So let's take, for example, Conservative Party. So Conservative Party traditionally had a very anti-minority rhetoric against indigenous people. They have so many things, about they have divided minorities always, right? So we don't expect anything for minorities from them. So the other major party is the Liberal Party. So if you go back in 2010, Bill 94. Bill 94 was the ban on niqab. This was brought on by the Liberal Party of Quebec. So Liberal Quebec, right? And it was the Federal Liberal Party which, first of all, had this immigration, landed immigrant fee, and it was $9,975, right? It's a huge fee, right? This was imposed by the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party is the one which always gets the support of minorities. So in 2017, it was again Liberal Quebec which brings this Bill 62, and Bill 62 was that if any female wears a veil, so they cannot give or take any of the government service. So now Liberal Party goes out of power in Quebec, and then CAQ Party comes. So this bill is passed as I said, on June 16, 2019. The federal politician, Mr. Trudeau, right? Mr. Trudeau always, he claims that he is for diversity, he is for minorities, he is for, human rights and so many things, right? So Mr. Trudeau, he was questioned in this election debate in September 2021 election. He was questioned about Bill 21, and he says that he finds this question very offensive. So rather than condemning this bill, rather than going into the court or challenging this bill, when you are a prime minister, I mean, you are responsible for, protecting human rights of each and every single Canadian, not only Canadian soil, but if the Canadians are traveling overseas. So Mr. Trudeau or the conservative leader or the NDP leader, why they don't oppose this bill? They may do lip service, but practically.
But Dr. Q Rana, one thing is there, because when this constitution was passed, Bill 21 was passed, they used the clause so nobody can challenge that bill into the court, either by the federal government. That's one of the reality as well there, right?
Right. I was coming to that. Yeah. Okay. So this bill was legislated 2.5 years ago, right? Yeah. So Mr. Trudeau just saying that, I don't like this bill, this is no good, but he did not take any practical step. Why? The federal parties, they don't want to annoy those French voters who are in support of this bill. That is the real cause. It is not that they can't do anything. A federal government can always go to Supreme Court, and they should have gone it because if you look at it.
Tell me that 75 and 35, right? That was the bill.
Right.
So who are those 35? Is Conservative and Liberal Party or somebody else? Who is those 35s are?
No, these were the smaller parties of Quebec, including the Liberal Party. Okay. They were in opposition.
So they oppose this bill, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So it's the Liberal Quebec cannot do anything because they were in a minority. The action has to come from the federal government. I give you one example. You might remember there was a female from Saudi Arabia. She approached United Nations, and she said her parents were forcing her to wear a headscarf and so many other things she said. So for a Saudi citizen, our prime minister, he stood up.
I remember
this female, right? She was brought to Canada. She was received at the airport by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, right? But a Canadian citizen Same. She's a female. She's a Canadian citizen. She works in Quebec. She's a teacher, and she was fired on the same issue that she is wearing a headscarf.
Yes, you're right.
And here, Prime Minister could not do anything. He said, "I don't want to interfere." So this
is definitely a double standard. We can see that on one side, on the name of secularism and liberalism, you support everything, and on the other side, if any religious matter come with any party, you're not to stand beside that one, but you try to find out the ways that how you not oppose those things, and then you want the vote of the Muslim community as well, and the Sikh community as well in the federal election. So I'm surprising that Liberal Party is having too much support about these two communities, and they are not standing up federally strongly against this bill.
Right. You know, when it comes to secularism, as you mentioned, so the definition of secularism or idea of secularism at the governmental level is that the government does not have a favorite ideology imposed on people. Government does not bring a faith and tell people to follow that faith. That is secularism. We live in a society which believes in pluralism. In pluralism, everyone can exist. People can have their faith, or people with no faith, they can exist. Everyone can celebrate. So in Quebec, you can celebrate your ethnicity, you can celebrate your gender identity. But when it comes to secularism, so they are imposing, the government is imposing their favorite ideology on the people. So that is a dictatorship. That is not secularism. They are using the name of secularism, but they are imposing what they like people to do. So now it's not only about the dress, and now they have come on the language, right, with the Bill 96.
Yeah. So Dr. Rana, you know that this discrimination, hate crimes are growing in the country, and you are now the leader of the Centre Party of Canada. So this is my that what your party is doing something against these issues. Are you guys only just giving the statements, or you have a plan to come out and do something in action?
Well, our party takes the racism and discrimination very seriously. Also, the unity of Canadians is the most important thing with our party. With respect to unity, if you look at it in the historical perspective, there has been a division between Eastern Canada and Western Canada, and this division is growing. There has been two referendums in 1980 and 1995, and the referendum of Quebec separation in 95 was barely, the Quebecers separatist people barely lost by only 1%, right? So this division has been created by politicians due to unfair treatment of some of the provinces. So they have always supported Quebec, right? So, for example, if you look at the equalization payment plan, we have a public purse of about $21 million, which we transfer to different provinces. Out of $21 million, almost every year, Quebec receives 13 billion, sorry, I was saying million. Out of $21 billion, Quebec every year receives $13 billion. So on one side, you need the rest of Canada to provide you $13 billion. And on the other side, you are saying that you are an independent nation. You don't need rest of Canada. You can do things on your own. You can walk away anytime you like. This is not the case.
So that's why I asked that, because your time is also limited, Dr. Rana, you know that. So what's your party, something specific your party want to do against this thing? Because this is growing.
Right. With respect to division and racism and discrimination, we have very strong commitment to fight it. At this time, we don't have any members in the parliament. Of course, if we had any members of parliament, we would raise our voice at a national level. At this time, we're running campaigns on social media, campaigns. When we go door to door, we are issuing media statements. We are meeting community leaders. We have been very outspoken. So our plan is that by New Year, we wanted to do we were thinking to invite all political parties of Canada. We did one racism conference back in, I think, September 2021. So we wanted to launch a campaign, but then the Omicron virus came, and we decided to postpone this. So we will drive a kind of campaign to fight this issue.
Thank you, Dr. Rana, for your time and your views about the Bill 21, and I really appreciate that, because we need more voices against such a discriminatory bill in Quebec, Bill 21. And I hope that whenever your party gets some chance in the parliament, you will try to be a voice against this Bill 21. And I hope that the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party comes together in Quebec and repeal this Bill 21. Thank you once again, Dr. Q Rana.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
ये थे डॉक्टर राना जनाब, उनसे हम गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे बिल 21 के हवाले से, उनकी पार्टी की प्रोग्रेस के हवाले से। नई पार्टी है, पिछले साल इन्होंने रजिस्ट्रेशन वगैरह कराई और उसके बाद जो फेडरल इलेक्शन हुआ है पहली दफ़ा उसमें से हिस्सा लिया। जैसे मैंने उन्होंने खुद बताया कि इनके 4 कैंडिडेट खड़े हुए थे, एक अल्बर्टा से और 3 यहाँ से GTA से। तो बहरहाल Q Rana साहब खुद डॉक्टर हैं और फिजिशियंस हैं और प्रैक्टिस करते हैं काफ़ी अरसे से स्कार्बरो के अंदर। आई होप दैट कि हम जो है बिल 21 के हवाले से मज़ीद गुफ्तगू करेंगे। आई होप नाज़रीन कि आज का हमारा जो कम्युनिटी टॉक का प्रोग्राम है आपको पसंद आया होगा। हमने कोशिश की कि मिल्टन के हवाले से जो इंटर मॉडल CN रेल का इशू है उसके हवाले से आपके तक मालूमात पहुँचाएँगे, इशू है क्या। और ज़ीशान हामिद साहब हमारे साथ थे, उन्होंने बहुत सारी अहम मालूमात हम तक पहुँचाई और वेयर दिस प्रोजेक्ट इज़ स्टैंडिंग, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ वॉइसेस आर heard about this project as well. So दूसरी जो उम्मीद है कि डॉक्टर Q Rana साहब की गुफ्तगू आपको पसंद आई होगी। न्यूली पार्टी के लीडर हैं वो और बड़े एंथुजियास्टिक हैं, होपफुल हैं कि वो जो है कनाडा की जो पॉलिटिकल सोसाइटी है उसके अंदर कोई वाइब्रेंट रोल अदा कर सके। आई होप दैट इस पार्टी विल मेक अ डिफरेंस इन आवर सोसाइटी। इंशाल्लाह आरिफ जहांगीरी अगले हफ्ते नए प्रोग्राम नए सब्जेक्ट के साथ फिर हाजिर होगा। उस वक्त तक के लिए इजाज़त दीजिए। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू।